Queen Margrethe of Denmark has faced an unexpected obstacle to her succession plans after the publication of photos of her son Federico and Genoveva Casanova. The relationship between the heir to the throne and Mary Donaldson the night the exclusive about the Danish princess's support of some European monarchs was released is one of the topics occupying the news. One of them, perhaps the most important, is how the royal house of Denmark is positioning itself in the face of this scandal. They were the first to issue a statement when they learned of Federico and Genoveva's meeting. Queen Margaret later broke tradition by banning the press from entering the constitution of her grandson Christian, son of Frederick and Mary. A fact that will be repeated on November 16 next year, ahead of the annual royal hunt in the Gribskov forests. Gestures that are designed to keep your son out of the media hype. A posture of defense and circumspection that is in keeping with the equidistant nature of the Danish royal family. No complaints, no criticism. Nothing that could tarnish the image of the heir apparent. Despite this attitude, however, images of the prince with a Mexican woman have already affected the Danish monarchy. In particular, the meeting between Frederick and Genevieve has become a stumbling block in Queen Margaret's plans for her succession. Luis Pliego, director of readings, told Tard.AR how the pictures in Madrid ruined the monarch's plans. This week I spoke to many Danish journalists. They repeated the latest cover story, Pliego commented as soon as he started. They did not hesitate to give their opinion on the future of the king's marriage, but emphasized that until last Wednesday several plans were on the table. He was preparing Marguerite's abdication so that he could take the throne, but all this and with all the media attention focused on Federico and the details that become known over time, Marguerite's goals for her succession have become complicated and their realization will take longer than she thought. The defense of the royal house of Denmark around Frederick. We have a long-standing policy not to comment on or confirm any details regarding private matters. Furthermore, we would like to emphasize our commitment to respecting the privacy of members of the royal family, including the Crown Prince. This is how the Danish royal family reacted when images of Frederick and Genevieve were made public. A few lines later, the Danish monarchy stepped in and settled the matter, making it clear that they were not going to discuss the issue. But it didn't stay there. Queen Margaret, who has always given the media access to her events and was close to doing so, barred her from administering the constitutional oath to her grandson. He did the same with the annual royal hunt in the Gribskov forests. The Danish media BT reported, according to Vanitatis, that the royal house of Denmark would be responsible for taking the photos and that they would be responsible for distributing them. But this time there were no photojournalists who could access the event and take responsibility for taking the pictures, a decision that angered Danish journalists. The newspaper Semana reported that the ban on press access to the hunting site has caused some tension with reporters. This is a concern for us. For the last 15 years photographers have been going to Zealand Island, in the east of the country, but suddenly they are protected and told us no. They are the ones who will distribute the photos, says this journalist. From one of Denmark's most respected media outlets, Mary Donaldson continues her program despite the controversy. Federico and Genevieve's walk and dinner drew attention not only to them, but also to Mary Donaldson, the prince's wife and mother of his children. When this became known, the Australian woman changed her attitude, happy and talkative, from the last hours with the kings of Spain, to a serious and tense gesture, peppered with two gestures that betrayed her anxiety. As soon as Felipe VI and Letizia left, Mary disappeared, sheltered from glances and comments. However, there was a key day that Mary could not avoid, the swearing-in of her son Christian at Christiansborg Castle. A key day not only because of what it meant for the young man's institutional career, but also because it was a historic day. For the first time in the Council of State, 3 generations coincided at the same time. Queen Margaret and the Crown Prince of Denmark were noted for high airfare costs and not thinking about the climate crisis. The royal houses of Europe are committed to sustainable development and fighting the climate crisis, although some more explicitly than others. This leads them to make speeches in which they call for a change in mentality and way of acting so that the climate crisis is not so devastating. In this sense, Federico of Denmark stated that the dramatic warming of our climate in recent decades is due to human behavior and the way we have organized our lives. This is all very well, but it is necessary to set an example, and this is not always done, as happened with Federico of Denmark, who, being the protagonist of a scandal because of his photos with Genoveva Casanova, became the protagonist of another scandal that has nothing to do with it. It happened on September 25, 2023, when the Crown Prince attended a field exercise of the 1st Brave Lion Brigade at the Oksbøl Range in the Denmark region of southern Denmark. Everything is going well. However, Ekstrabladet noted that the cost of transportation from Fredensborg to Oksbøl, a distance of 340 kilometers, cost DKK 37,554, which is €5,034.09, to be paid by the Ministry of Defense. For the trip he would take an AS-550 Fenwick helicopter. This helicopter took off from Karup Air Base. It then traveled to Roskilde and from there to Gronholt, a place near Fredensborg where Frederick of Denmark had settled. From there they flew to Oksbøl. When his stay there was over, the helicopter took him back to Gronholt, passing through Esbjerg. Finally he landed at Karup Air Base. The aforementioned media asked the Danish royal household why it used a helicopter and whether the environmental impact of this decision was taken into account, to which the following answer was received: the royal household cannot comment on specific cases of transport, as it is considered private, but it is always carefully examined which mode of transport is most appropriate to use, and the choice depends, among other things, on the logistical conditions and environmental impact, as well as the cost of time, finances and other items on the day's program. Margrethe of Denmark's flights. But he is not the only one who is asked about the financial costs of his transfers and the impact on the climate crisis. This publication also points out that the flights made in the third quarter of 2023 alone, Margaret of Denmark cost the public treasury more than 300,000 Danish kroner, that is, more than 40,000 euros. She has flown for 2 days more than many Danes have flown in a lifetime. She is again wasting Danes' tax money on plane or helicopter rides, criticizes Ekstrabladet, sardonically adding that the monarch, in addition to recovering after returning from surgery, he has regained his wings.